Well, it's time to get started on the Bronco again. And other projects got in the way, but that's okay. But this has been sandblasted, and you know, over the summer, got some moisture on here, so I'm gonna have to re-sandblast wherever the rust is so I can get some body work done. And then weld on a couple more panels, get this thing all straight so we can get some sides on her. Oh well, this is we got some cold weather coming, so today I gotta scramble a little bit so I can get all the sandblasting done. Better get started. So I got a lot of little holes here. Used to screw on if you have a you know, a large top on your Bronco, you had a weather stripping here that went all the way around. And because this particular Bronco is a half cab, we don't need these little holes anymore. And if you ever did change it around, all you do is just, you know, put your trim up against there and drill them again. That's all you need to do. But we're gonna weld them up. So I'm going to weld up these little screw holes here, and if we have to put them back in, we will. But, you know, I'm looking at them, my brother's looking at them, he's going, I don't know what those are for. So, well, I know what these ones are for, but there's some extras here, there's one here. So, we'll get rid of them. Easy to do. So I've just got these sitting on there, and time to take them off. They're not very easy to do, but what I want to do is do the body work in here first, and then I'll put these on. I don't even know how I got it on there. There we go. So all these little holes here, these were there probably drilled out when, you know, that panel was taken out. So I think I gotta weld those up. I'm gonna take off the other side and see if it's the same. Yep, I gotta weld them up. So this piece here was replaced and we had to weld down here. Now, and that's going to be a curve, that's a radius on there. Now from this point on, I've got this little piece in the back here and I couldn't weld the back. You really have to weld the back if you're going to round it over. But what I've done is I just took the welder and put her on high and did this corner right here. That way it really pushes back, and you can see in here, I don't know if I can get her, there we go. You can see that I've welded it at the back, that way I can put a radius in it. You know, it's the little things that just make life easy. But there's some dents in there, and I think we're gonna have to weld some bolts on to pull them. Okay, now I welded on the bolt, and make sure I got a plate here so I don't dent this again. It's about the only way that you can do this on these this box stuff. That looks pretty good, because they build this stuff out of, you know, fairly thick stuff, so, you know, stud pullers and just, it's not going to work. So I just weld the bolt on and do exactly that. Yep, I'm going to put a zip cut on, move that down a little bit. So this is the inside here, and it's been welded, but you know, this is where the pocket is, so it needs to be looked after. You know, if you just left that, somebody could see in there and right away it says shoddy. So get in there with your die grinder. We'll clean that up, make it look good, and make sure you're wearing some really, really good safety glasses. We gotta get some filler on here. So where it's all been welded down in here, so I'm gonna put a fiberglass reinforced filler in first, and that's okay. It's a little bit tougher than your regular filler. Especially if you're doing these curved edges down here, you know, a little nicer, because then you've got something a little tougher to make that that radius. If that makes any sense. Now, you're saying like, wow, guy's spending a lot of time on this post before he even gets started, you know, putting the truck together. Well, it's easier to do it now, and you know, I struggle with my little brother. He doesn't do the little detail things. And it's the little things that sell your vehicle. And always remember that. If people look and they see that the back, you know, your back pocket here is like on the inside where I took and used the die grinder. You look at that and you see a great big ugly weld in there. People look at that and say, wasn't done very well. And when you're buying a vehicle, if I saw something with a great big ugly weld on the inside like that, I'd walk away. Because if they don't take care of that, what else is hidden? So I'm a pretty big stickler when it comes to the little details. It's my motto: if the little things look good, well then everything looks good. Now I can hit her with the regular filler. It's looking pretty good. Now the whole idea here is I want to get it as good as I can so that I can just put on a couple of coats of primer and then sand her out, go straight to paint. So you got to make sure you got no pinholes and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit of a pain. I'll do this part here when I do the rest of it. I want to get this done here because I have this other piece to weld in here. And if you can do the bodywork, it's nice when everything's nice and open. Less stuff around. On these old, like on this old Bronco, you know, from a distance they look pretty good, but you pretty well have to skim everything. You almost don't have a choice. Micro dents everywhere. And I don't know if I was mentioning, but this was, I guess this is Kevin's truck or Bronco since he was a kid. I think he bought it when he was 16 or something like that. And swerved to miss a deer and rolled it. So, a lot of those injuries, you know, are still showing up. You know, like, you know, obviously when you roll it, you're going to come down, you're going to hurt this post here, and those are just some of the things you're just going to have to deal with as we go along here, realizing that everything's going to be double checked, eh? Just don't go ahead and assume that it's all going to be good, because it's probably not going to be. After the rollover, it was my dad and I, we took the job on, and I basically painted the whole truck and fixed it up, and then Dad and I fixed up all the stuff that was really, really damaged. And this Bronco has been on the road for a lot of years. Now, one of the things I do not want to do is, I'm not going to fix down here yet. I will, but I want to make sure, in case I have to take and move this, I've got to make sure that it's all good, because just because this thing looks good doesn't mean that it's perfect, because everything's got to line up with the sides and all that, so there's lots to go here. The bodywork, of course, it doesn't really affect anything. Bodywork is going great on the other rear post, so it's time to do this one. Now this one here, we had a little bit of damage down here, so we're going to have to do some good filling there. And, well, not much, but just a little bit. And for the most part, this side is a little nicer shape than the other side, but that doesn't really mean anything, because it still means that we got to skim everything anyway. So we'll get this all ground up. Get some filler on it, and that'll be just one more of the 1,000 steps that we got to do to get this Bronco done. So this was all sandblasted. Now that I got a little bit of a polish on it from the grinder, got a pretty good dent right there, one right there, one right there. Those are going to be spot welds, so I'm not going to try and pull them. But this guy right here, that's got to come out. But so fortunate, I'm wide open. I can just pound that guy out. Done. Finally ready for some filler. I'm just using the fiber filler first on the, the more damaged areas. It's not that damaged, but you might as well use it. These ones here, I'm going over a spot weld, so it doesn't hurt to use a little tougher filler. Gotta get my little spreader here. I sanded all the fiber filler up, And now it's just a skim with the regular filler. Now, things look pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to turn out as good as it did. So that means that the wobbles weren't as bad, which is all good. Less wobbles, less work. Bodywork has come along pretty good on these posts here, and basically got them done. I've just got to do some sanding, you know, down in here. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I got a plan. It's not very easy getting in there with your fingers and trying to get a good job. So that's when you got to do some thinking. Alright, check this out. Now this is a little tool here, and my buddy Simon gave this to me, and he's a cobbler. So those are people that make shoes, and they use them for something, not sure. But anyway, it kind of gets my hands out of the way. Typically what they do is they, you know, in the old days you just glued on a piece of sandpaper. I put on a piece of Velcro. And so now I'm thinking, if I had something just maybe a little wider, I'm going to build something out of steel, you know, something like this, because it's really hard to get inside of here. That works pretty darn good. Now if I had something that was maybe a little wider foot so I can get past this, then that would even work better. And that's what I'm going to do, is design one of those on the next day. I think you get the idea. But I could do better. But this is still going to work in a pinch in some spots. Alright, I'm going to put the mask on and get real serious here. Alright, gotta find it. Oh, there it is. Well, we got a pretty good start on this. You know, there was a little bit of tweaking just to make sure that these things were straight. I think there's some more to go here. You know, we still have to put that cap on, and there's always a bit of an issue. Like we measured from here to the top on this particular one, and it's a little bit longer than the other side. So something has to happen, but you know, that's when you, later on, when you get your tailgate in and you're making sure that everything's going to fit, that's when you do a little bit of gapping. When you buy these panels, they just don't slip on and your life is perfect once again. No, you got to work it hard, and that's just something that we're going to have to do. Like I was mentioning earlier, I had to weld on this little piece here, and you know, and then we've got to fix it up on the inside a little bit. But those are all pretty minor little things. Everything takes time. Anyway, speaking of time, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So the biggest thing is we got to start on the Bronco. And now that, you know, this is the main part, you know, I've got to weld in our panel here, which isn't going to be that big of a deal. And then we can go ahead and just move forward. There's going to be a lot of work here. You know, I was just telling little brother yesterday, probably as much work, you know, on the inside as there will be when we, you know, finish the outside. You know, this is all tedious, time-consuming stuff. You know, I'm going to have to do a lot of fast forwarding, you know, it's tough to watch. But that's okay. Gotta have something to do when it's cold. Anyway, that's it for this episode, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.